Hey friends, welcome to Cait Casts On. My name is Caitlin and I'm a knitter, spinner, sewist, and sometimes quilter based out of the Pacific Northwest. Today I'm going to be sharing with you all the things that I want to knit, sew, spin, and make for the summer season this year. Some of these things are items that I didn't quite finish that were part of my spring making plans. Some things are kind of edits on my spring making plans, and some things are totally new. So I'm excited to sit down and share with you and hopefully provide you with some inspiration on things you could make this summer too. I really enjoy doing these like seasonal making plans videos. I feel like it's just a really good chance to kind of sit back, reflect on the things that I've made in the past season. What am I wearing? What am I drawn to? Colors, fiber types, kind of construction or cut of garment, all of that stuff. And if there's anything that I feel like there's a gap in my wardrobe that needs to be filled, or in some cases, there's just some new skills or techniques that I want to learn and try to do. So kind of taking a second to think about all the things that I want to make is very inspirational and fun for me, and often just gets me feeling really excited about everything that I want to make. Now, because of that, I do tend to be slightly over ambitious in the list of things that I want to make. There are definitely some items from my spring making plans video that I did not get to. They are in some cases just like being pushed, and I'm hoping to make them this season or in the fall. And in other cases, I've like slightly tweaked what I want to make. But there were definitely a lot of things that I did check off from my spring making plans. I did most of the sewing projects that I set out to do. The one that I didn't do was kind of an intentional decision. I just decided I didn't really need it. I did a handful of the knitting projects that I wanted to tackle. And yeah, just had a lot of fun doing some new things. There were really like two big things that I took away from my making during the spring of this year. One of them was vests. I made 2 vests for myself these last few months, and I'm just trying to figure out how to work more of those items into my wardrobe. I've only ever made 3, so 2 out of 3 were made in the last few months, and I feel like I'm starting to figure out what I like, the kinds of fits that I like, the kinds of yarns and colors that I like, and I'm really excited to continue kind of exploring that as an avenue for my wardrobe and styling options through the summer and fall. And the second big thing that kind of came out of the spring making season was I am in the middle of writing and releasing my very first knitting pattern. It was not something that I, intentionally set out to do at the beginning of the season. It just kind of happened as a result of a project that I made for myself. And yeah, it's been a really fun journey these last few months. The pattern is currently in testing, and I'm planning on releasing it hopefully within the next month for sure. The test ends June 30th, so some wiggle room at the end of that to kind of polish things up. But yeah, it'll be coming really soon, which I'm very excited about. But because of that knitting pattern and just like how kind of unplanned and spontaneous it was, there were some sock projects that I didn't really get to last season that I would like to make time for this summer. So I'm really excited to dig into all the projects and yeah, hopefully they provide you some inspiration too. I'm going to do my best to mention like the yarns and the colors that I personally want to use, as well as any relevant stats on the patterns like yarn gauge or like recommended fabric type for sewing things, recommended needle size, and just like general size options. So hopefully that information is helpful for you, and I will try to have that on a graphic next to me while I'm talking about the project. So with that being said, let's go ahead and dive right in. To kick things off, let's go ahead and start with talking about the knitting projects that I want to make this summer. If you're new here, knitting is definitely like my #1 priority hobby. It's the one that I constantly have at least one, but if I'm being honest, most of the time several projects on the needles going, and it's a pretty weird day for me if I don't spend some time knitting. So that's definitely what I'm going to be spending the bulk of the time talking about today, and also the bulk of my hobby time making this summer. I'm also going to be referencing some notes about these patterns in this little notebook here, so if you see me looking down, that's what I'm looking at. But the very first project that I would love to knit this summer is the Skyline Tee by Tori Yu. This is a really, really beautiful fingering weight crew neck tee that's knit with a saddle shoulder construction. And the saddle shoulders actually have this really lovely ribbed texture that just adds the perfect little kind of subtle detail to the tee. Tori recommends a US 3 or 3.25 millimeter needle for this project. That being said, when I swatched with my yarn choice, which I will go into in a second, I came out a little bit under gauge, so I personally sized up to a US 4 or 3.5 millimeter needle. The bust circumferences in this pattern, like the finished bust circumferences, range from 34 inches to 66 inches, and Tori recommends 4 to 6 inches of positive ease. Like I mentioned, this pattern does call for fingering weight yarn, and I'm going to be knitting mine in Sandiscarn Tinline in the color Deep Burgundy. It's this really lovely kind of red purple wine color that's just absolutely gorgeous. And the kind of fiber content of this yarn I think is going to suit this pattern and just like summer weather really well. It's 53% cotton, 33% viscose, and 14% linen. So it's just a very lightweight and drapey yarn. And it is classified as a light fingering weight. It has a little bit more yardage. It's a little bit thinner than just kind of your standard fingering weight. So I think that that's the primary reason why when I swatched on the recommended needle size, the US 3, I came out a little bit under gauge. Sizing up to a US 4 pretty much solved the problem. I think I might be still slightly under gauge, but it's like so close that I don't think it's worth it to change my intended like size that I knit. I think it'll all work out just fine and I'll be within the range of positive ease that's recommended regardless. So I'm just gonna go ahead and move forward on the US 4 or 3.5 mil. And I think it's gonna work out great. I do really like the fabric that it's making. This is actually the very first Tori U pattern that I've ever knit, which is kind of really surprising to me because I've had a lot of her patterns saved for many years. But she's doing a tees and tanks knit along this summer, and that was kind of like the final like checkbox of like, yes, I'm casting this on without a doubt. This is what I want to make with this yarn. If you did watch my spring making plans video when that came out, you might remember that I talked about this yarn then too. And my original plan for it was to knit the Sea Salt Tee by Atelier Castan. And I realized I was like getting ready to gauge swatch and kind of cast on and like buy the pattern. And I realized I like significantly under ordered yarn. I just didn't, I guess, pay that close of attention to recommended yardage, because for that pattern, it actually recommends holding Tinline double, and I only ordered enough yardage to hold it single. And obviously like that wasn't going to work out. And when I like went to go add more Tinline to my cart and like buy the quantity that I needed for the Sea Salt Tee, I just kind of sat back and looked at the number and was like, do I like this enough to spend twice as much money on this project? And the answer was I didn't know. And I just kind of sat with it for a few weeks. And the longer I sat with it, the more I kind of doubted like if that's what I wanted to make with it. I think I would have needed like 10 skeins of this to make the Sea Salt Tee. So it was like objectively quite a lot of yarn for a t-shirt project, I felt like. And it was kind of at a DK weight gauge, and it was like, well, do I even want a DK weight shirt, or would I rather just hold it single and find something that would work for it, you know, held single? So I just kind of sat on it for a few weeks to probably actually a few months. And eventually went through my spring and summer like favorites bundle on Ravelry to look at what other options there would be. And I stumbled across the Skyline Tee, which I have loved for many years, and realized that I only needed to buy one more skein of Tinline in order to have enough yardage to knit that project. And I thought that that was absolutely doable, and I felt a lot better about that. Especially knowing that I've really liked that t-shirt pattern for several years. So that's what I went ahead and did. I placed an order for just one additional skein of this. I ordered them from the same place, and I was hoping that they would come in the same dye lot. Like I requested the dye lot of the original first 4 skeins that I had. And unfortunately, they did sell out of that dye lot, and you definitely can tell a difference. I'm not sure if it's going to come up on camera, but in person, this one is less vibrant, it's less saturated, and it's also a little bit lighter. There is like a pretty stark difference to the naked eye between these two colors. So I'm really hoping that I can get through the bulk of the t-shirt with just my original 4 skeins of yarn. I'm really, really hoping that that's going to work out. And I think I'll be pretty close. If I can make it through the whole thing, great. If I can't, the plan is to do everything other than the ribbing if possible, and then save this one that's a different dye lot for all the ribbing details. I think just texture difference wise, it's going to be less noticeable that there is a slight color change if you're going from ribbing to stockinette. And also just having all of the ribbing be consistent, you know, the collar, the sleeves, and the bottom hem. If they're all consistent, I think it will be okay and it will work out just fine and probably won't be noticeable. So that is the goal. If it's like the body is to a length where, you know, I really would prefer to have more length to make the shirt practical, I'll probably swatch what it looks like to alternate skeins and see how that looks. But if it's noticeable, I'll probably just kind of compromise either body length or sleeve length or both to try and make it look kind of normal. So hopefully that works out, fingers crossed. And yeah, I think we'll be able to make something really beautiful with this yarn. The second project that I would love to knit this summer is the Flock Vest by Drea Renee Knits. This is a worsted weight cardigan style vest with like a V-neck front, knit on US 7 or 4.5 millimeter needles, and has kind of like a drop shoulder construction. Obviously there's no sleeves, but you knit the back panel and then you pick up stitches for both shoulders and then join under the arm. And then you'll do armhole ribbing and the button band ribbing at the end. The finished bust circumference in the pattern ranges from 31 inches to 64 inches, and Andrea recommends 1 to 3 inches of positive ease. I sat on this pattern for like a month before I decided it was something that I did want to commit to making this summer. It is part of a knit along for Flock Fiber Festival. There's going to be a meetup of everyone at the festival who's made this. That little bit of community and just like the fun of a knit along was very enticing to me from the beginning, but I just kind of hadn't mentally wrapped my head around this project and adding it to my summer making plans. And also budget-wise, I hadn't necessarily taken into account making a vest and just like that whole other project I hadn't budgeted for. And so I kind of sat on it for a while and was kind of leaning towards probably not making it. And then I looked at some Knitting for Olive scraps that I have, just like leftovers from past sweater projects, and pulled out a few colors that I thought looked really, really pretty together and ended up swatching with them. I did hold the yarn double in order to meet gauge. This is all just Knitting for Olive Merino. To get that worsted weight gauge, I did hold it double, but I swatched and I just really fell in love with the color choices and how everything plays together. I just think it's so fun. And I did have enough scraps of this to pretty significantly offset the amount of yarn that I needed to buy. It wasn't enough to totally make the vest, but it was enough that I felt okay about, you know, adding a little bit more budget in order to make this vest. And yeah, I feel really, really good about it. I'm very excited. I did cast this project on already and have had a lot of fun just kind of working my way through the beginning of the back panel. And yeah, it's just a lot of fun with all of the color changes. And I just feel like it's just so playful and nice. And I'm really excited for like the meetup of everyone who made this at Flock. I am using, like I said, Knitting for Olive Merino held double. My main color here, this is one of the new skeins that I had to buy. This is Pomegranate. It's just kind of a true red color. It leans a little bit orange, but I would still call it definitely a red color. And then my second color, I did have to buy just one skein of as well. This is Dusty Dove Blue. Just a really nice soft blue color. And then my third color, which is like the very center of the stripes, is Knitting for Olive Merino in the color Oatmeal. I believe I have enough of this yarn that I won't need to order any more. And I kind of decided, low-key, I have Knitting for Olive Cotton Merino in the color Oatmeal that I feel like I will probably use as a backup instead of buying another skein of this. If you look, like, they are kind of different colors. They're not identical, but just in the context that it's knit up, because they're at the center of the stripes, I don't think you'll be able to notice a difference. I think it will be close enough, and I might be able to tell, but I don't think anyone else will notice. So I think if I do run out of yarn, I think that's the plan, is just to hold the cotton merino double for whatever I need left. But yeah, I'm so excited for this. And something about using at least some scraps in it is just really special, because I know, like, other projects that they came from. The pomegranate scraps that I used was from my Cove sweater that I knit earlier this year. I absolutely love that sweater. And so, like, this project has a piece of that. And then both the Dusty Dove Blue and the Oatmeal were used in my Vita cardigan, which is just like my pride and joy, my Mount Everest of knitting projects. I'm so proud of that sweater. And so it's really fun just like having elements of those projects inside this one too. I just think it's really, really special. And yeah, the color options and combinations and possibilities in this vest are just so much fun. I'm really, really excited to be knitting this project and to see everyone at Flock who also is making it. As for buttons, I haven't bought the quantity that I need yet, but I actually use these really lovely kind of slate blue buttons on my Umbria summer top a few months ago, and I have one left over that I didn't end up using, and I was holding it up to the swatch, and it's like a perfect match for the Dusty Dove Blue. And so I would love to run to my local yarn store at some point in the next few weeks and see if they have enough so that I could use these buttons on the Flock vest. That would be really great. I don't remember how many I left them with, and I bought these like several months ago, so I don't know if they'll have enough. If they don't, I very well might take the buttons off of my Umbria summer top and use it for this, because it's like it's a perfect match, and I feel like there are other buttons that I could put on the Umbria. So yeah, that's an option. We'll just see how that goes. But that I think would be a really fun button choice for this project. Like I said, I have cast this project on already, and I've just been really, really having so much fun. It's flown by. I am knitting it on the recommended needle size, which is US 7, and it feels like it's just coming together really, really quickly. So hopefully that continues and it's not too stressful to try and finish it for the knit along deadline, which is listed as July 18th. But definitely for Flock Fiber Festival, which starts on July 31st, I think we'll be good to have it done by then for sure. The next project that I want to make this summer is the Champagne Cardigan by Petite Knits. This is a worsted weight cardigan with a V-neck shaping as well, and it also has a raglan style construction. The bust circumferences of the finished garment in the pattern range from 44.5 inches to 68 inches, and Petite Knit recommends 11 inches of positive ease. I am going to be using Juniper Moon Rambouillet in the color Peacock. It's this lovely, lovely, like navy blue color. I felt this yarn in person at a local yarn store in North Carolina when I was visiting my family there, and just really fell in love with it. Juniper Moon is pretty widely available here in Oregon, but I don't think I've ever felt this base specifically. It's just absolutely lovely. There's so much squish to it. It's so soft. And I'm really excited to see how this knits up. I did knit a swatch for the Champagne Cardigan because, like I said, the pattern calls for a worsted weight, and this is just like a solid DK weight yarn. So I knew there was probably going to need to be some kind of finagling of size knit or gauge or something like that in order to get the fit that I want. And so I did do a swatch. It just is absolutely beautiful. It has such a nice balance of like softness and drape and structure too. Like, I just think it's like, this is a really great fabric. I'm very excited for it. So I knit this swatch on the recommended needle size, which is a US 7. And like I said, I really like the fabric that is coming out of it. It did grow quite a bit in blocking, but it's still not quite right in terms of stitch gauge. Row gauge is pretty close, and I think that that's definitely doable to move forward with, but my stitch gauge is still a little bit under what it should be. That being said, I really like the fabric, and this is the fabric that I want my cardigan to be made out of. So I do need to kind of do some math, look at the schematic and the pattern. I do own the pattern already. I've knit a version of this a few years ago. So I just kind of need to look and kind of figure out what I want to do in terms of sizing. Because row gauge is on and stitch gauge isn't, and it's a raglan, there is just a lot of moving pieces there, but I know that there are some options that I can do to kind of knit between sizes. I can like cast on more stitches at the underarm to get the width I want while keeping the raglan increases and like the arm depth at the length I want. There are options and I can play around with it. I just need to sit down and take some time to figure out what that needs to look like for me. But I'm really, really excited to work on this summer and just have a nice little cardigan to use on summer nights. Now, I'm aware that 3 knitting projects for the summer is probably a very realistic amount of things for me to knit. That will probably fill up my summer for the most part. Especially knowing that I have some accessories that I want to knit, I have some spinning projects I want to do, I have some sewing projects I want to do. Like, if I'm being realistic, that's probably a good number of garment projects to want to knit. However, if I have time and if I feel so inspired, I may also start working on my next hand spun sweater, which is going to be the Stripe Hype by Cait. I worked on this sweater quantity of hand spun yarn last winter and kind of into spring a little bit. And I have all of these skeins waiting for me, plus a lot more of my main color here in my yarn cabinet. And I would love to cast it on if there's time. If it waits till fall, that's also okay. But yeah, I'm really, really excited about this one. And I'm calling it my alternate for this season. If I have time, if I'm feeling inspired, I might get started on it. The Stripe Hype sweater is a pattern by Veronica Lindberg or Cait. It's a DK weight sweater and it has a drop shoulder construction. The finished bust circumferences of the pattern and the sweater range from 35.5 inches to 70 inches, and Cait recommends 8 to 12 inches of positive ease. Like I said, I want to use all of my hand spun that I've been working so hard on. And I have quite a variety of fibers and colors to play around with. My main color here is from Yarn Jam. All of these are a 3-ply worsted spun. But this one, like I said, it's from Yarn Jam. It's their Shanico Confetti Tweed in the color Bear. So just like a nice off-white color with these really lovely colorful speckles. This was the inspiration for the whole project, was this yarn right here and this fiber. And then all of my stripes are going to be different colors of the confetti. I have this green from Little Fiber Co. In the color Earthy. This is a BFL. I have a couple different merino yarns. This one is the color Nutmeg. This is from Eugene Textile Center. And then the other merino one is called Mocha, also from Eugene Textile Center, just from some merino top that they have. And then I have 2 colors of Rambouillet from Little Fiber Co. This one is just like those Royals, this really nice blue color. And this one is Sunshine in Rambouillet from Little Fiber Co. Just a really lovely warm yellow. So I have all of these really happy, fun colors staring at me on my yarn shelf. And if I have time, I will be casting on this sweater too. And then on the side of my garment knits, I like having some accessory projects on the needles, just as something little and portable and easy to pick up every now and again. And so there's a few different accessory projects that I want to work on this summer. The first is the Oxbow Socks by Drea Renee Knits. This is one that I really wanted to get to in the spring and didn't because of my Fable sock pattern. I ended up knitting like 4 pairs of those, so that kind of took over my sock knitting last season. And I would love to get another pair of Oxbow socks made. I have made 4 pairs, 3 pairs, something like that. I love the Oxbow socks, so I would love to do another one of those. The pattern is written for a fingering or sport weight yarn, and it's knit on US 1 or 2.25 millimeter needles. It is a cuff down construction with a heel flap and gusset, my favorite kind of construction for socks. And the foot circumference in the pattern ranges from 5.25 inches to 9.5 inches. And Andrea recommends 1/2 inch to 1 inch negative ease. So a nice snug fitting sock. I have this yarn that I picked up at the Rose City Yarn Crawl that I would love to turn into some Oxbow socks. This is Coast to Coast Yarn Co. Classic Sock in the color Crater Lake. really lovely, like aqua teal, deep moody, just absolutely perfect. It captures Crater Lake really, really well. It's one of my favorite colors from Erin. So I would love to get those cast on here soon. I do think this will probably be my next sock cast on because right now I don't have any socks on the needle, so I might do that soon. But yeah, I would love to get a pair of Oxbow socks knit up. And then also, actually, speaking of Erin from Coast to Coast, I was very inspired by one of her Instagram posts from a few weeks ago where she shared someone is doing a sample knit using some Zauberball Crazy, but they are striping Zauberball Crazy, which I thought was very clever. Now, they're using 2 balls of the same color and striping them. I'll put up a picture so you can see. But I thought this might be a really fun idea for some leftovers that I have of Zauberball Crazy. I have made socks with both of these colors. This one is Herbstwind. It translates to autumn wind. I think it's 1507, but I could be wrong. It's been a while since I've knit with this one. And this one, I'm going to try the pronunciation. It translates to cinnamon roll. It's going to be horrible, my German, but it's Zimtschnecke, maybe is how you pronounce it. But it's just a really nice red and blue, kind of some orange and tans in there as well. They're very similar colors. This one leans more teal and this one leans more like tan. But they kind of have very similar like red and blue tones. So I think that that would actually be very cute to kind of use these scraps and make some striped Zauberball socks. So I might do that as well if there's time. I think that would be a good use of some scraps, and I've weighed it out and I should be able to get a pair of socks out of this amount of yarn just fine. So I think that would be a really nice use for that. I probably will just do kind of a 3x1 ribbed sock with the stripes. That's kind of my go-to with Zauberball. I really like having a sock with a little bit of rib in it so that it forms really nicely to your foot. And I don't want to like overcomplicate it with all of the really fun colors happening, but I do like that little bit of texture just to make it a really nice, well-fitting sock. So I think that will probably be the plan for those if I have time for that this summer. And then this last knitted project that I'm going to work on kind of behind the scenes is one that I've mentioned on my podcast a couple times. So if you watch that, you're probably familiar with it. This is my leaf collecting shawl. This is a self-drafted little end-to-end shawl that I'm working on using some lace weight hand spun that I have that I spun up last fall. The fiber that I spun this yarn from is from Wonderland Dye Works. The colorway is called Leaf Collecting. That's why the shawl is called Leaf Collecting. And it's just this really lovely autumnal skein of yarn that I'm just really excited about and really proud of. Kind of wanted to design a project around it. So I've been just kind of working on this in the background, doing, you know, an inch a week or something like that, and kind of view this as being a more behind the scenes long-term project. But I would love to keep working on this as time and inspiration allows this summer. It is, you know, using a full lace chart. And at this point, I do still need to have the chart open. I kind of designed the lace based off of a chart inside the Japanese knit stitch Bibles that I have, and then modified it quite a bit to make it a little bit more what I wanted. But I have like enough where I can see the row I'm on in the chart and kind of go from there. But I do still need to have the chart open to just like reference the beginning of the row. So it is a slightly more involved knit. And so just, yeah, as time and inspiration allows, I'll be working on this kind of behind the scenes as well. So those are all the knitting projects that I want to work on this summer. And that is a lot. That's a lot of work. And there's a good chance that I'm not going to finish all of it before September. That's kind of mentally summer for me, is through August. There's a good chance that some of the stuff is still going to be on the needles in September, and that's totally okay. Like I said, I really enjoy doing these videos just for inspiration and like as a period of reflection. And they make me feel really energized and excited about things. So if I have too many ideas and too much inspiration, that's totally okay. That's a really great problem to have. So that is it for knitting projects. As far as spinning goes, I don't necessarily have like one specific big spin that I want to do this summer. That's not where my head's at all. I do want to put some focus time in learning some new techniques, trying out some new things when it comes to spinning. And so I don't think it's going to take a ton of time for me to do the things I want to do, but I do have some like specific goals that I would like to accomplish. If you have watched my podcast before, you might be familiar with this yarn right here. This is some woolen spun yarn that I made from Skagit Woolen Works using their Romney lamb fiber. I got the fiber last fall and just recently spun it up. This is my very first woolen spun yarn, and I'm so proud of it. With festival season coming up, I know Skagit Woolen Works is going to be at Flock Fiber Festival, among a lot of other really great kind of fiber and farm yarn brands. I want to have a really good handle on the kinds of fiber that I'm looking for going into specifically Flock Fiber Festival in early August. So I spun this skein of yarn just like straight from the roving that Skagit Woolen Works has. And I liked the experience, but because this is my first woolen spun, I feel like I really need to put in some work into trying to spin woolen spun with different kinds of fiber. And so I have kind of just like the farm yarn roving that they have, which was pretty rustic. It had like a lot of neps in it, and just like, I feel like it resulted in a yarn that probably wasn't the most consistent that it could be. That could just be me not spinning it super proficiently because this was my first woolen spun. I don't know what I don't know. So I did save kind of a little nest of this specific roving, and I'm going to try a few things with it. I'm getting some hand cards in the mail, hopefully soon. They're back ordered right now, so I'm waiting to hear, but hopefully soon. And I'm going to use that little nest, and I'm going to try a few things with it. I'm going to try just like hand carding it generally, and maybe I can get some of the neps out and just spin from that directly. And then I also want to try making a row lag with this and try spinning from a row lag. And I want to see what that experience is like, what the yarn is like, all of that, just so that I have some information in my head and I can make some informed decisions so that when I see them at Flock, I know what I want to get from them. I also want to try spinning woolen spun with some other fiber that I have in stash that is just prepped a little bit differently. I have some bats from some other farms local to me that I would like to try. They're different fiber mixtures, so it's just going to be a different experience in general, but I think it will be helpful information nonetheless. And then I also have some like hand-dyed, hand-painted braids that are a little bit more processed. I have some from Little Fiber Co. I have some from Long Dog Yarns. I have some from Wee Chickadee, ZZ Textiles. I have a lot of them. So I really want to play around and just experiment with woolen spun yarns on different kinds of fiber with different preps, so that I can go into Flock Fiber Festival feeling like I know what I want, and also that I feel like I have the information to be empowered in that decision. So that's kind of where my head is at in spinning for the next few months. I just want to try out some things. I want to get a little bit experimental and just figure out what I like and explore this new world of woolen spun yarns. And then last but not least, I have a few sewing projects that I want to tackle this summer as well. For me, sewing is definitely like a product-based craft. I don't hate the process of sewing, but it's not as enjoyable to me as knitting or spinning. I do it mostly because I love the finished product. So that's kind of my mindset around sewing, at least at this moment in time in this season of life. That's where I'm at. So I just have a few that I would like to tackle this summer, but I'm really excited about the finished products that will come out of these. First is the Falconer Pants by Helen's Closet. This pattern has a couple different views. There's a wide leg view and a barrel leg view. I'm going to be doing the barrel leg. I'm very excited about that. And I also am going to be making a modification to these where they retain the zipper fly front and like the belt loops and everything in the front, but I'm going to do elastic in the back. I actually emailed Helen a few months ago and just kind of explained what I thought the process would be like and asked for confirmation and any tips that she had. And she was so helpful. She wrote me a really lovely email back. I love Helen. She's fantastic. If you haven't sewn one of her patterns, definitely do. She's just like a lovely human being. And yeah, just blew me away with her response. I'm so inspired to try this out. If you're curious and you want to do the elastic back falconers, I will definitely share what she told me if you want. But anyway, that's going to be a modification that I try. I've never done like hard pants before, so I'm a little bit intimidated, but we're going to give it a go. The pattern is written for hip circumferences, like your body measurements, ranging from 33 inches to 62 inches. And I'm going to be using some fabric that I got from Blackbird Fabrics. This is pre-washed, but I haven't ironed it, so it's a little bit, you know, wrinkly, rustic, whatever. But this is a 7-ounce softened cotton in the color dark denim, just a nice navy blue color. It has like some good structure to it that I think will be quite nice for some barrel leg pants. It's not super drapey, it's pretty crisp. So I think it will be really, really nice for these. But also, I'm fully prepared for these pants to not be 100% perfect because it's going to be my first try. So hopefully they turn out great and wearable. It's a dark color, so hopefully any mistakes I make won't be super visible and will be kind of easy to hide and fix with it just being, you know, a nice structured cotton. So we'll see. I'm feeling optimistic, but also trying to, you know, keep my head on my shoulders here that this is my first time doing it and it's going to be a learning experience. But I'm really, really excited about these. And I think that this color and just like the style of pant is going to fill a gap in my wardrobe that I'm very, very excited about. I think I could wear these like every day with every outfit and every combination of everything if I wanted to. The next sewing project that I want to make, I'm not totally sure what pattern I want to use yet. Depending on how the falconers go, I might decide to make another pair of falconers using this lovely fabric here, or I might decide to do a pair of lane pants by Sid Graham, which I have made many times and love and modified a little bit each different time and just love every modification that I've done. The lane pants are designed to be a wide leg, fully elastic trouser pattern, and the pattern is written for a body hip measurement of 34 inches to 65 inches. I have this really lovely fabric from Fluid Plus Drape. This is a linen cotton twill from their Coffee House collection, and this is the color Flat White. It's a really nice off-white color, and it is fully opaque. Like you cannot see through it at all. So it's going to be great for pants, and I'm very, very excited about it. I've been looking for years for like a nice opaque cream or white color to do some pants with. So I think this will work out really great. You might be able to tell this is also pre-washed but not ironed. It has less structure than the Blackbird fabric does. So I don't totally know if the falconers will be like the most ideal pant pattern for this, which is why I'm kind of keeping the lanes in the back of my mind. I think those would be really great with this fabric. So we're just going to kind of see how it goes and see how we feel when we get there. I'm definitely going to start with the navy falconer pants first, and then we'll make some decisions about the off-white twill there. But I'm really, really excited about it. And again, it's just going to fill a gap in my wardrobe. And I think that off-white pants will match so much of the other projects that I knit and sew and make. So I'm really excited to get those made soon. The last sewing project that I would love to work on this summer, but again, this is kind of like an alternate. If I get to it, great. If I don't, that's also okay, is the Avenue Shorts by Sid Graham. This pattern has not been released yet. It's currently in testing, but I think it's expected to release at some point this kind of early to mid-summer. So we'll see. I don't have any of the details on it because it hasn't been released yet in terms of like measurements or anything like that, or how much fabric it requires. But it's just a really cute little shorts pattern. And I know that Sid has been working on a lot of different modifications and customizations that you can make to them. And just all the options are really, really cute. I do have some fabric and stash that I think would work really well for this. It's Essex linen from Robert Kaufman in just like a really nice navy color. I actually ordered that fabric for some lane pants like 2 years ago and didn't realize that the fabric is quite narrow. It's only 44 inches wide, and I didn't order enough, and then it sold out from the place I bought it from. So I just never ordered more, and it wasn't enough to make lane pants with. So if I can make Avenue Shorts with it, I think that's a great win. I did use some of it to make some stockings this last winter, like the lining for the stocking was made out of it, but I think I have enough left over that I could probably make shorts. But again, I don't have the fabric requirements or like the body measurements or anything like that. So we'll just see. I think they're really cute. I'll stick up some photos of what I can find. But yeah, that's definitely a pattern that I'm keeping my eye on and I think would be really fun to make this summer if there's time. So that is all I have to share with you today. Like I said, it's a lot. There's a lot of things that I want to make over the next few months, but just kind of the ideas and the inspiration are bringing me a lot of joy. So that's okay, and I'm going to ride the wave and see where it takes me. I hope that you had fun sitting down and chatting with me and that you found a lot of joy in whatever you've been working on. I hope that you found some inspiration in some of the things I mentioned, whether it's the patterns and like the project ideas or the yarns or the fabrics or anything like that. I hope that you're walking away from this feeling inspired too. If you did enjoy this video, if you could take a second to subscribe to my channel if you're not already, comment, like, all of the YouTube things, that really helps me out and helps new people find me. I'm wishing you a really great couple weeks ahead, and I hope to see you in the next one.